All right, let's go, gentlemen.
Hi, so it's Joe Kluter, and you see my 55 Chevy. Well, before it was number 55, it was number 214. And I'm sitting here with Mike Sykes, and he owned it for about 20 years, I think.
Yeah.
And there's always this story about Herb Thomas drove it. So I just wanted to chat with Mike and tell me that story about how you met him.
Okay, I met Herb many years ago, but this car I had just bought and got the engine fixed in it, and we were showing it at Randolph Mall in Asheboro, North Carolina. And I called Herb and Helen for them to come up and sit around and talk to race fans and sign autographs and things of that nature. And anyhow, he come up and I met him outside, and I walked him in the door, and he looked up and seen that car back there, and he says, I drove that car right there at the old Hillsboro Speedway many a time. Okay.
Yeah.
He says, I can tell you what certain items in the car,
Right.
hole here, a crack was here, or, this, that, and that. So we walked back there, him and Helen, and we set them down there beside the car, and he said, this is the one I drove. He said, see this crack right here on the door frame?
Yeah.
He said, I done that. I kicked it with my foot one time and caused that crack. He said, you see this place up here and there's a dent in the ceiling? I done that too.
Really?
Yeah. And he always said that he drove that car. Had I known then what I know now, I'd have recorded all this. But
now there was a story about a ball-peen hammer too. He used to put a mark in the console.
he would mark the
tunnel.
Tunnel.
Yep.
Whatever you drive shaft tunnel.
Yeah.
And he would always put a marking on it, and that was there. And he just kept on and on and on, and he had the biggest. He had the biggest crowd there the whole weekend.
Wow.
People coming by seeing him and the car he drove, because the people from Asheboro was there, and the newspaper, and they wrote a little article about him, and I think it was Asheboro. Anyway, and the paper hit the next morning, and there was people lined up at his back there at that car all day on Saturday.
Yeah, it's funny because when so you sold it to Bruce Dillon.
I sold it to Bruce
and
Dillon.
I bought it from Bruce Dillon, and Bruce Dillon did a lot of the updating and restoring of the car.
Yeah.
And actually I found one of the old pictures of that tunnel, drive shaft tunnel, and the ball-peen mark hammers in that picture.
Yeah.
That's the only picture I have like that. I'm lucky to find that picture. So
I'm proud. I went over to Bruce's house. While he was working on it a couple different times, and it just amazed me the transformation that took place in the car. And since you've got it, it's even more so, I guess.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good. People love it. We were at Charlotte Motor Speedway last weekend, and people were just cheering. We were driving through the pits, and the old timers and guys love that old car.
Yeah, but who don't like a 57 Chevrolet?
I know, with a 56 back
well,
then, right?
It was a 57 Chevrolet.
Yeah.
And the guy that had it crashed the rear end of it, parked it out in the woods for 15, 20 years. Then I was clear blue. He drug it back out and had a 56 Chevrolet that the front end was tore up on. So he cut the back end off of the 56 and that car and welded the 56 rear end on that car.
Because I love guys look at, they think it's a 57, they think it's a 56, they argue and fight. I love that
They
story.
do. And the last time I run it at Charlotte Motor Speedway is when that guy bumped me and 2 or 3 different times, and he come by me and then slammed on brakes and tore the rear bumper off of it. And that made me mad, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think I actually raced that car, but twice after that.
Wow. Now, wasn't there some kind of a fast 6-cylinder in it?
Yeah, when I bought it, the guy said the engine was blowed. Well, I said, well, I want to spin it over, see if it's locked up. It was a 6-cylinder. I think spun and cranked, but it was knocking. So I shut it right back off. And a friend of mine, which drove Fords back in the day, Bob McGinnis from Danville, Danville, Virginia. He's an old moonshiner.
Okay.
And he said, I can fix that thing. I can fix that thing. I said, well, I don't know whether to do this or not, you know.
Yeah.
He said, whatever the guy's name was, some machine shop up there in Danville, Virginia, built Chevrolet race engines all the time. So I took it up there and left it. Bob called me Monday before lunch. He had already took the engine out of it and took it over to that machine shop. That guy was to offer me $1,000 for the motor.
Really?
Excuse me. He said that somebody had balanced and blueprinted that engine, put flat top pistons in it. Now, it was a hoss, ain't no doubt about that. And he says, I said, no, I'm not going to sell the engine out of it. So all it was, a push rod was bent, and it was letting the engine, pushing the valve down too far open.
Slapping the piston?
Slapping the piston.
Yeah.
But it hadn't hurt the piston yet, because I just, where it knocked, I cut it off. He said, if you'd let it run for a minute, he said it'd have been totaled. So he put new rods in it and piss tubes and put it back in the car. It run like a scalded ape. I mean, that thing would fly. And then I let it sit after that wreck at Charlotte. I'd let it sit. It's probably sit 2 years.
Okay.
And that's where I messed up.
Okay.
Should have never let that thing sit. And Bruce come up. Bruce had been a friend for a lot of years too. And anyhow, how I got to know Bruce was through drag racing. Of course, that's a different story for a different day.
Yeah.
But anyhow, he come up and says, let me buy that old car from you, you know. Well, I'd rather somebody have it and fix it up a little bit rather than it sit here rotting away.
Right.
So if it sits here another 2 years, it'll be rotten. And he put floor pans and all kinds of stuff.
Bruce did an amazing job, and the motor he built, and it's a crazy motor.
Yeah.
And,
Well, he said that the engine, that little 6-cylinder engine, I guess it'd sit there so long and probably froze and everything else during the winter months, and it was locked. So.
Okay. Well, Mike, I want to thank you for taking care of it for 20 years.
Well,
And,
thank you
if
for
you
taking
didn't, I
care
wouldn't
of it.
have it. So, anyways, it's Joe and Kirk. Thanks for the video.
You got it.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Mike.
sir. Appreciate you coming by.